All right, bang, bang. We are back here. First major of the year, and it's August. Who would have thought 2020 really messed us up? We're coming off the WGC, which everybody made 66 lineups, every single person, to now our first major, the PGA. We were going to have a special guest this week, Bucks. However, time zones. First off, why do we have time zones? We just need to have one central time zone, like just central time zone. That's all it needs to be. He thought we were doing Eastern. We said Central. Now he's tucking in his kids. DFS dads, we understand that. We have kids ourselves. So no Bucks this week, but he said that he will be on the next time we want him. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we will get him on the pod. And we also have another major coming up in another probably 5 or 6 weeks, I believe. So a lot of good golf content coming. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe if you have not. It would mean a lot. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what you would like to see. If you haven't started to become a member at dfsdads.com, I would highly suggest you to do that. And we're going to start a Slack. There's also other things that we are starting to develop on the site. So definitely want to go check it out, at least for a week, see if you like it. If you don't, you can skedaddle. But I think you're going to like it and stay. That's about really it for the housekeeping. Let's take a step back in memory lane just for last week, the WGC, really briefly before we get into it. What was y'all's kind of takeaways from that? We'll start with you, Dustin.
Well, the good news is I had JT in most of my lineups. Ended up I had the top three golfers really well. My bottom three failed me. I ended up cashing on the Brooks double bogey on 18, so I got a little lucky there. But I'll take it, right? Good tournament. I thought JT. I called it on Sunday going in that I thought he was the player to watch, and you could just see it coming. He still putted terrible. I mean, I think he lost a stroke or something on putting, and still won. So looking forward to this week. Obviously, major. Tons of good players. I think they said the top 95 out of the 100 players in the world are in this tournament. So I'm excited to get to it.
Exciting stuff. What about you, Price?
Good week. Like Dustin, I was all in on JT, but it also helped that I was all in on Chez. That's back-to-back weeks. Our low pick guys finished. Chez should have finished top three like Rorinsky did, but Chez decided to go bogey 17 and 18. It cost me about $400, but I still take it. And I pretty much tripled my money. Smashed on Showdown on Sunday. Only missed on Fowler. Fell apart. Otherwise, I would have had probably a 4 to 5 figure Sunday there. But I'm excited for this week. I mean, first major, you gotta love it. Gotta love this pricing. The contests are bigger. It's just, I'm ready to get into it, make some money this week.
Yeah, for sure. Paul Casey definitely did me in once again this week in my main lineup. And McElroy, those were my two guys that in my main lineup I was like certain they were gonna bang. But luckily, I decided to take the advice of the other DFS dads with Justin Thomas, and I wanted to throw in Brooks because I just had a feeling. I love playing Brooks, and so I played JT and Brooks in one lineup that ended up cashing big to almost get my money back for the week. My main lineup just completely destroyed me. Honestly, if I'm going to miss cash, I just want to be last. I don't want to barely miss it. So on my main lineup, that's what I did. But luckily my secondary lineup, I think it was like my third lineup, ended up cashing pretty big to save the week for me. So I'm excited for this week, and let's get into it, and we'll let Price.
First of all, Chris, before we get into that, your boy Phil, you had the inkling again last week. Look at him.
I didn't play him. Everybody talks me out of him. Like, Phil.
Because he laid up on that par
Bubba
3.
Too. There was 11 dog legs last week, and I was like, Bubba is the play here. He's gonna shop shape that like no other, and he did. He's living out of a caravan, having a time of his life. So, the good news is a lot of the golfers that I really love sucked at the beginning and then worked their way up doing pretty good to give me hope to play them this week. It makes me start smashing more multiple lineups, spending more money because of how confident I am after their good Saturday and Sunday finish. So that's probably nerve-wracking. It means they're gonna explode. But we'll get into those golfers shortly. Bryce, tell us about the course. 1 or 2 minutes, and then what you're thinking after you've kind of done more of a deep dive into it all.
So it's going to be played at TPC Harding Park, so out in California. It's a fairly long course. It's a par 70, playing about 7,250 yards. But apparently all reports since the last 3 days is it's playing like 76, 7,700 with the kind of cooler weather. They got the marine layer from the ocean being right there, so kind of tougher to get the ball to move through the air. They did switch it to top 70s in ties, according to the PGA website. So that gives you a little bit more breathing room. The last time they played anything here was the match play in 15, which McIlroy won. But it's going to be bent greens. Hitting fairways is going to should be a must because they said the rough is going to be nasty. So it should make it pretty tough if you miss the fairway in order to even have a chance at a birdie on the par fours, which a lot of them are 475 plus yards. The par fives are 600 yards. Then we have a 250-yard par three. So you got to want someone who can hit it out there for sure. Otherwise, you'll have someone like Ches hitting driver into the par three that's 250.
Don't make fun of my boy Ches. He's making money.
Really important strokes gained off the tee, around the green, approach. And then you're going to want to have people who are efficient on the longer par fours as well, because that's the majority of this course. So those are going to be the main stats to look at.
Now, did anything pop out to you before we get to the top of the range there? When the pricing came out, you've done the model. Is there some player that popped out to you that you didn't think would pop out, or that's a lot lower priced, or maybe higher priced that you're like, wow?
Tyrrell Hatton was one of the
1,900 less?
1,700 less.
17.
So I was surprised that he is priced under like Hideki, Day, Hovland, Morikawa. I was also surprised that they didn't cram the 9K range because there's only 4 people, and you would think that they would have made it a little bit more difficult. But I guess that's why they did it in the 7K range, because you could build 10 lineups from just the 7K guys and be like, hey, I have a chance to win.
I mean, obviously, it's the pricing is softer with a major. You have all these new players or players that don't play a lot come in, and they want to make it easy to build lineups. So that's kind of what they did. But yeah, like it is pretty surprising. Like the 7K guys are just amazing.
It's
but we'll
crazy.
get into that. Dustin, did anything stand out to you at first when you were starting to do your builds or looking at the pricing, looking at your model?
We lost Dustin.
Oh, he comes back.
There
he is. He's
Technical
back.
difficulties.
Did you pay your internet bill?
Just did. That's why they popped it back on.
Good. All right. We're just going to ignore that question. So let's get to the top of the salary range here. What do we have? 6 golfers above 10K? What's one player that sticks out to you, Price? And what do you think of this range? You think it's priced fair?
I think it is. I don't understand why Schauffele is 10K, to be honest.
Because he's the best player on the planet.
About how many wins does he have?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Anyways, the only one I like in this range really is Rory. JT sprays it too much. I mean, Brooks is obviously going to get a lot of talk because it's Brooks and he dominates majors for the last 2 years, but I don't really want to touch him. Don't want to touch JT. Not touching Schauffele. And I don't really want to mess with Bryson either. So it's between Rory or Rahm for me, and I think Rory's the better player, even though his approach has been trash lately. But I mean, when he gets it going, he gets it going, and we know he likes this course. So that's where I would pick in the 10K range.
What about you, Dustin?
Pretty similar. Me more of a cash guy. I'm looking at Rory. A good price point. I mean, he's been the highest, and now you see him. For most of the time, you see him below two other players. I just think the upside's there. John Rahm last week was, I forget what he was, but 11 something. All of a sudden he's way down. So I think for me, Rory just for the course. I mean, he's good off the tee. If he can get the short game, wedge game figured out, he's due. He really is. I mean, he hasn't played bad, but he hasn't played great. So hopefully this major will bring it out of him. And I think it will. I think we've seen a lot of competitive golf this year. Not really repeat winners and kind of the guys up there. If I'm looking at a fade in this range, if you had to say, whoa, what are you doing? I'm fading Bryson, even though it's kind of hard to say because y'all know how much I love playing him early in the year. He's been having some blow-up holes, and his irons have been his downfall. He's putting great, putting really good, but to me, if he's in that fire ants over there in the rough, it's gonna be tough for him to score well.
Yeah.
That video was awesome, by the way.
I'm with you on Bryson. If he's not going to be in the fairway, and those same length irons just drive me crazy. And so his approach, 73rd in approach, is just not going to get it done. 116 around the greens. This is a course I think it's going to be very, very difficult because the par fives it's going to be tough. Like 625-yard par five. It's going to be tough to get there in two. Bryson's going to be able to. There are two drivable par threes for him around like the 390 range. It's just crazy to even say that. So it's going to be interesting to see how he attacks it. I feel like a lot of these tougher courses, I just don't think you can just bombs away with it like he's kind of doing. I think he's still trying to fill out what he wants to do there. So I would just fade Bryson until he gets his around the greens. 116 in the field. It's just I feel like around the green this week means too much in his approach. So his iron game to me, I'm going to fade him. Now McIlroy has been my sweetheart, my darling, who's just let me down since the restart. If I go look, I mean he hasn't missed a cut. 32, 41, 11, 32. Hasn't had a top 10. He's the only one out of this range that hasn't had a top 10. So that worries me. Last week in the WGC, his strokes gain approach minus 2.2, where on average he's around a 2.1. Even though the Memorial is 2.6 gaining. So losing all that, I feel like he's going to get that straightened out. But he's really been all over the place since. But even with that said, I still want to go to him. I love his price over Brooks or JT. I love the savings. 10.7 is a great price for him. And then y'all keep hating on Xander, but all he does is put up every week. Puts up numbers, he gets in the top 10, top 20. If it wasn't for one round every tournament, he blows up. Just one round. It's just an awful round. He'd be doing a lot of good things. Even last week, he finished 6th and then 13th, 14th, 20th in his last 4 tournaments. He has a 3rd in there on Charles Schwab. I really like Xander. His price as well. He's still going to be really high up there, but I like his price because hopefully we'll get people off of him and make them go either up to Bryson or down to like Webb or Cantlay or somebody. But in that range, that's
I think
where I'm at.
I think Xander's is really good cash play as well. Like you said, Rory hadn't missed a cut either. So those are kind of my two, different lineup builds probably just based on, how, they don't miss cuts. I mean, you can't have a guy miss a cut, especially like Price said when the top 70 and ties are making it, and a lot of these dudes at the bottom are PGA professionals who aren't going to make the cut. So you kind of have to get 6 to 6 through, especially in cash this week.
Yeah, for sure. What's pretty interesting, if you go down, there's a couple of really good plays in the 9K range. A lot of it's gonna be interesting. Like Tiger Woods in the 9K range. We got to start talking about him, even though he's low 9K. It's gonna be cold. You don't know how his back is gonna respond. His last tournament, I think on Thursday, he shot a couple under. It was looking good. Then on Friday he couldn't even like follow through his swing. And he even said after the round that his back just wasn't there that day. So when we're playing in some colder weather, I just think the risk of your 9K player is just crazy. And he's also 114 with fairways gained. I don't know if I can. He's actually 123. I don't know if I can trust him. What about y'all?
I mean, he's my fade for this price range just because there's only 4 guys, right? So just to me, the inconsistency and lack of play along with the back issues. I mean, I'm the biggest Tiger fan there is. I mean, he's the GOAT, but, we're talking about being analytical here. That's the guy in this range I think you got to push out. Does that mean he won't freaking come out and win it? I mean, no. I mean, obviously he could as Tiger Woods, but for me, if I had to fade a guy in this range, it's Tiger. And then my cash play from this is Webb. Another guy that's great in a lot of these categories. Approach off the tee is not super long, but he's long enough. And I just think he's a guy that's gonna score well and be around, Saturday and Sunday. Hopefully get a top 10 finish.
And I know Price is a Webb guy too, so I'm interested to see. Are you worried at all? His driving distance 119, and his par 4 500 plus is 93.
No.
Are you worried about those stats at all?
I'm not worried about those stats. I'm worried about him not having his caddy.
Talk to us then.
Because his caddy, I guess, just threw out his shoulder or something and couldn't carry the bag, so someone had to step in on Sunday. And apparently.
And what happened with JT?
Apparently.
What happened with JT when he had a caddy?
Well, he had bones on the bag.
Well, maybe he can get bones.
And unlike Webb, JT doesn't require his caddy to get every read correct on the green for him to put lights out. So I'm going to skip.
That's why JT doesn't.
Seems like that caddy used to get more than 10% of the rake on his winnings.
So I'm not going to – I wanted to play Webb originally. I'm not going to play him or Tiger. I'm very high on Cantlay this week. And obviously I think everyone's going to be high on DJ at 9K. We know what he's capable of. He's a monster off the tee. Yeah, maybe after the shaved beard, he's just a new man. Going to come out and
play
lights out.
I don't know about DJ, man. I mean, we know what he can do, but the flip side of that, we know what he can do as well with the 80-80-80 withdrawal. Obviously last week, so it's kind of like, what the heck is going on with this guy? Which version are we going to get, Jekyll or Hyde? And so that kind of makes me nervous as far as a cash play. And maybe that scares people off for the GPP that he's been kind of inconsistent, or maybe they look at last week and say he's back. So that's kind of why that's what drove me the route of Webb for the cash. I think Cantlay is another good one, but the Webb is mine for that range. Obviously the caddy I'll have to take into consideration. I might not take anybody from this range in my lineups, but
yeah,
that's the beauty of there only being 4. You don't have to. For
sure. I really like. In fairness, DJ, I think it was a 80-80-78 and then withdrawal. So
yeah,
he didn't quite get to that 80 level that last one. But DJ at 9K is definitely going to be chalk, and I'm going to own some DJ because the one thing about DJ is after he misses cuts, he wins tournaments. He doesn't play well, then he ends up playing well. Now that bit a lot of people the next tournament where he had that 78, then withdrew. But at 9K, kind of said this the last few weeks, whenever I'm getting the value of Brooks, I think it was like 9,200 the other week. I don't know if it necessarily played out perfectly, but even last week he was pretty cheap for where I think DJ is really in that 10K range type of golfer. It's hard to pass somebody up at 9K that's that good. His fairways gained 114 makes me nervous. Driving distance 1, opportunities gained 1. His par fours 450 to 500 and then 500 plus are all good. So there's a lot of really good stats here. Rates out 13 in my model. I love DJ here. I love the build of starting with Cantley, DJ, and then going down from there. And we'll talk obviously about that. Webb is who honestly I'm fading out of everything. And I'm just gonna, if he beats me, he beats me between Webb, DJ, and all these other players. But Cantley and DJ are the two that I'm looking at. Now we have the 8K range. We got some of the young guns with Kawa and Hovland. I'm gonna let Price lead us off on who you like in this 8K range initially.
So Monday, I thought I was going to be all over Berger, but he's been steady this year. Why play him when you can go down to Morikawa for 200 cheaper? He's familiar with the course. He's played it a bunch of times. He's from California.
He went to Cal. Yeah, 20 minutes away.
He's the best iron player since young Tiger hit the tour.
Yep.
And really his only thing he really struggles at is putting. He's mediocre at chipping. He's god-awful at putting. I mean, he misses so many 10 to 15-foot birdie putts, but he's someone who's going to get, in the fairway, green regulation, and 2-putt for par. He'll make a few birdies, and this is a tournament where he shoots 7-8 under. He's in contention. I think Hatton is grossly mispriced at 8K. There's zero reason he should be below half these fools. He's had one tournament this year where he hasn't finished 14th or better. And you have him priced below. I mean, I think he's a world-class golfer. He's 10th in my model. I really want to use him. I'm going to try and construct my main lineup so I use him. It's just a matter of how I want to build everybody else. I don't really like Jason Day, even though he has 3 straight top 10s for the same reasons. Be worried about Tiger's back. Right there with Jason Day's back, who's visibly had issues with it during rounds. So, I mean, he pops great in the model, but I'm not going to use him this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the hard part, right? Jason Day's been playing so good. It just takes one – bad morning or whatever, and he's ruined your lineup. So that's always scary. For me, talking about Morikawa and Berger, those are my two from this range that I liked just because they've been so solid. I mean, Berger's freaking top 10, top 15 machine, the whole year. Morikawa always got the win earlier and has been really solid beside that one miscut. As far as a cash, I think those guys are pretty darn safe. They're going to find fairways. They're gonna, like you said, make birdies and pars, which is what you want. As far as the guy I really like and he rates really high in my model is Hideki at 8,200, who's obviously played high caliber golf for a long time. I really like him as well in this range. And then obviously Hatton, I think like you, he's underpriced. It's just a matter of which guys are you can't fit all these guys into your lineups unless you're making multiple lineups. So it's kind of hard to fit everybody in there. Fitzpatrick's been playing great. So a fade for me in this range would probably be Patrick Reed. He just hasn't shown me much this year with all these other guys, so that he would probably be my fade. Obviously, Hovland didn't play well last week, but he's been solid all year. So a really interesting range for me. I can see myself taking 2 or 3 of these guys for sure.
And definitely. So Bryce was speaking my love language at the beginning with the Kawa talk. 20 minutes away, going to Cal, knows even if he doesn't know this course perfectly, he kind of, I mean, he's played it a bunch, and he is 8,600 is an amazing price for him. I feel like. I have one lineup that I've built so far with the young guns, Hovland and Kawa together. Kawa, I think, is my highest played golfer in all of my builds so far. So take that. And Hideki, I really want to play. He hasn't won since 2017. He hasn't looked too good either. Last week, he showed some glimmer of hope. So I really wanted to play Hideki because at 8,200, once again, I feel like he's a steal. But at the same time, you can go 200 below and take Haddon, who, like Price said, is a world-class golfer. I wonder what do you think with Haddon with everything that happened last week, which could be a blessing because maybe some people won't play him and it brought his price down. But I know like he was on a tear with Tee to Green, like just on a tear. But now and then last week all of his stats were horrible. Finished 69th. Do you take anything from that? That maybe he ran out of juice, his amazing ball striking is done, or you just want to go right back to him?
I think it was just a bad week. I mean, you go scroll back through his history, and if you start from last year's PGA Forward, he's lost strokes tee to green once, which was last week, on approach twice. And one of the weeks he lost strokes on approach, he finished 6th at the Open Championship.
He doesn't miss cuts either.
No, he usually doesn't miss cuts. He's a really strong putter at least since the restart. Strong on approach, strong tee to green. And that's really what you want. You want someone who's not going to make huge mistakes. And when they do, he's a good enough short game to make up for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the forgotten person is Fowler, who raced super high, but he blew up on Sunday. Just played like garbage. I think that'll push a lot of people off of him. He usually he's there behind the green to congratulate the winner. That's what he's known for.
Yeah,
I know he's one of those that it's like, man, I feel like he should be way better than he is, and he always finds a way to screw you. But he does rate well in the model, and he's 8,300, so it's not like you're throwing a ton at him. Just a lot of good golfers in that range. I mean,
there's a lot of good golfers in this range, and the Jason Day is the one I struggle to figure out what I want to do with because I love Jason Day. I've been playing him. He's been making me lots of money, but it's like on the roulette table, you hit black, 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 black. It keeps hitting black, and you're like, And now everybody in the industry is all about Jason Day. Let's play Jason Day. And then he ranks 7th in my model. All this leads to me wanting to fade him. And so that's kind of where I'm at with Jason Day. But it hurts to say that because I love me some Jason Day. And even at 8,400, that's a really good price for where he ranks in the model. So let's but the Haddon and Kawa for cash to me is, I think that's an amazing.
Yeah, both for 8,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 8K and then 8,600. That's an amazing cash two plays there. Even though I mean Kawa played in the U.S. Open, didn't he, last year? Is this his first major? Did he play in the U.S. Open last year?
I believe he played in the U.S. Open.
Okay, so I mean that could be a little risky, but there's no fans, and I just don't buy the narrative of these young guys are worried about this a major. Especially
he
the
finished
PGA.
35th at the U.S. Open last year.
Okay, yeah. So he, yeah, I'm not worried about it at all. Maybe the Masters, if it's the first time playing the Masters, I don't necessarily love that.
The good ones got it. You know what I mean? You think Tiger was ever freaking scared of a major? No. You think what's his? God, I can't even think of his name. Brooks was ever afraid of one? The dude comes out. I mean, obviously he's known as a major killer. So some guys just have it, and then some guys will falter. I mean,
Like Paul
Look
Casey.
at a female, Paul Casey. Those guys that seem to always be there but can never win it. Maybe it's that it factor, So I think Morikawa's shown, because he came back from that earlier this year where he screwed up at the end on that putt to go to a playoff. And he comes back either the week or the next week and wins the tournament. So, that was good to see from a mentality standpoint. Golf is mental, as we all know.
Very much so. Now it's the toughest range of everyone put priced in this tournament.
Yeah.
You can only pick one player. Who's your favorite play in this range?
One?
Just one. Who you got, Dustin?
If I'm picking one player
to win you the Millie.
And I hate to say this because the guy's a spaz, but I'm a Longhorn fan.
Oh, God.
They Scheffler.
Really well. He rates really well in my model. He's been playing good golf. I mean, you can't for a guy that's 7,700, and I mean, obviously it's been a long time since he's won, but we know he can do it.
Say his name.
And he's been playing. Spieth.
Okay.
I already said it, man.
Okay.
Jordan. I think him, Fleetwood, and Answer kind of, I think all of those are really good plays in this range. But I'm gonna go with Spieth because I'm a homer, and he rates pretty good in my model. So there.
So if y'all probably don't know, but Price is a huge Adam Scott guy. So I want to know what Price thinks about Adam Scott.
Well, the one person I'd pick would be Gary Woodland.
Oh. No, you would not.
100%.
You're such a troll. That's my guy.
I'm all in on Gary this week.
Are you? You don't play Gary Woodland though. I tell you every week to play Gary Woodland. Every week you say no.
This is the week I'm in, bro.
This is the week I'm not playing him. I gotta get some shares of Gary Woodland.
Yeah.
So I was thinking Tommy because I love Fleetwood, but I think Woodland's better right now.
Wow. Talk to me about we got to take a deeper dive for a second into Gary Woodland.
Major winner, won at Pebble. Rory beat him here in the match play, so he knows the course, played well, did good enough to win 5 times against people. Excellent ball striker. He's just a solid player. I mean, he's great at DK points, which you're going to need to win. He's good at proximity between 175, 200. He's good tee to green. He's just, ever since he got rid of that stupid Wilson driver, his game's come back around.
So what were you thinking last week when you watched him at the WGC over in Memphis, and he's losing 4.7 strokes tee to green?
It's an outlier.
You know what is not an outlier anymore is that he's an elite putter. He couldn't putt worth a damn.
I know.
He was losing strokes per round in the last 20. He's gained 1. The last 10 tournaments, he's gained 2 strokes. In the last 5 tournaments, he's gained 3 strokes putting. Like, what has happened? He's an elite putter. He's a top 10 putter now. Can you believe it?
Hey, the putter gets hot, man.
I mean, is Gary Woodland the autofill must play 7,900?
Nah.
What's your one reservation with Gary Woodland this week? Off the tee?
Yeah, he's not great from the longer par 4s. But I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad play. He's just I'm just not all in on him like Price.
Opportunities gain. He's number 2 in the model. Like that's pretty stout.
I mean, I guess we'll find out.
Well, Price just got me all like ramped up on Gary damn Woodland.
Let me ask you a question. Paul Casey, are you talking about hidden black? You got the opposite right now. You're betting white, or red, and now you have a chance to take him again in a major for what, 7,400, 7,500?
All right, so I've built 4 lineups, or I'm gonna have 4 main lineups this week. I have Paul Casey in 1 now, 1 lineup. So I've ended up opting to get rid of Paul Casey for the likes of Cooch, Reevy, and Answer / Fleetwood and the others. So I've somehow ended up getting away from Paul Casey in everything but one lineup. He's number 3 in my model. I feel like a complete freaking moron for getting rid of Paul Casey in so many lineups because I've read him to the death so far. I'm just so sick of him. So
he did play well on Saturday and Sunday. 60.
I know him and Cantley. Like I love Cantley and I love Paul Casey, and they just lit it up on the weekend for me. And I had him in everything, Paul Casey and Cantley and everything. I still think Cantley is a great play, but I mean 7,500. Paul Casey's so underpriced, is he not? Are we crazy? 7,500, and we're even questioning to play him?
It's just more like recent history, I guess. I mean,
it's golf. No one
good.
gives a shit.
Yeah.
What do you think, Price? Yeah. What are your thoughts on Casey?
No.
Why?
Why would you play him?
He's number 3 in the model. He's a beast. He's the safe play.
Oh, he's a beast? How's he done his last few tournaments?
I mean, that's that. Why is he still number 3 in my model? My model's broke.
Because your model's broken. Probably because you went too many rounds back. Go to his last 8 rounds. Because he's only played 8 rounds in 3 tournaments.
Yeah. I mean, he's losing like 2, 3 strokes. Fucking
all right. He chokes. He does not win unless it's at Valspar. We're not at Valspar. He's awful at putting. He blows up on par 3s, which what do you think he's going to do on that 250-yard par 3?
He's going to lay up like Phil.
All right.
Why play him? There's better people above and below him. Answer's way better. Kuchar's better. I'd rather play Shane Lowry and Chase Reevy than him.
So what are your thoughts on Cooch? Because I'm really curious about this price. I'm very in love with Cooch right now. I keep putting him in my lineups.
He's 7th in my model
instead of Casey.
He rates well.
Not ranked high.
He's been so average lately.
But he's a very average. Since the restart, he's been just average, mediocre. But
just average crap. Yeah.
He's a veteran who knows what he's doing, knows how to get around. The problem with him is the last couple weeks he's been gaining all his strokes putting, which usually isn't sustainable. I'd rather have someone who's a little bit stronger off the tee and a little bit not as reliant on putting.
Yeah, 3.6 strokes putting for the last 5 is
it's quite a bit.
That is a lot.
Yeah, to me, he hasn't been playing great. I mean, he's just been kind of I mean, that's why he's 7,500 this week. But he is a guy, like Price said, that's been there. He's got the the history to go out there and compete and maybe get a top 15 finish.
I'd rather drop down to Stinson, 200 cheaper.
Yeah.
Stinson made like 60, 61 pars in 72 holes last week.
Yeah, he played good.
Price, give me what's your take on Fleetwood? Because you're a Fleetwood homer, and it seems like you've gone away from Fleetwood, and I'm just kind of curious of what your reasoning is. It seems like he's been getting in just bad spots the last 2 tournaments and just blowing up. But when he's on the fairway, he's doing great.
Off the tee's been bad.
Yeah.
And I look at it as, do I love playing Tommy Fleetwood? Yes. He's a very good golfer, did well at the Ryder Cup, does well at majors. But honestly, would you rather play him or Answer right now?
Talk to me about the Answer love. He's great. But what's your thoughts on his actual game?
He does everything well except putt.
I mean, his driving distance 103. That's a little iffy. Opportunities gained 105.
But he's accurate. I mean, look at his strokes gained tee to green. He had a bad week at the Memorial and still finished 58th. But besides that, since the restart, he's gained 7 strokes, 13, 5, 3. He's just played well. If you take out 2 of his awful rounds, he'd probably be top 5 in my model. He's a good golfer. He's really come to his own since the Ryder Cup where he played well. I just think driving distance is going to be important on some of the holes, but someone like him who's good with his irons, even his longer irons, I think he's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, the 7K range is just chock full of hard decisions. I mean, you got a lot of quality golfers here. I mean, obviously the guys we talked about, we still haven't talked about Ches, who's been playing freaking great, did well. I mean, that was our lock of the week last week and did awesome. You got Bubba in there that's been playing well. Scotty's played really good the last two tournaments. Homa, Tom Lewis, who kind of blew up on Sunday a little bit towards the end, but the dude, I mean, has been
Lights
playing really
out.
good. Last three tournaments have been great, you know. EVR, when I took him, obviously missed the cut, and then he comes and gets a top 20 finish last week. But I know price was pretty high on him coming into this week. So, I mean, the 7K range is just, I mean,
Yeah. I feel like we've talked about a lot of
lot.
great players. But what about? But then we haven't even talked about two other great ones like Sergio and Billy Ho.
I thought you were going to say Scotty Scheffler.
We've already talked about Scotty. These are two players we haven't talked about yet.
Those
Yeah,
prices
but you
all
said-
in last week.
You said great players, and you said Billy Horschel. That's an oxymoron sentence.
I mean, he's for the 7,400 range, like the 7K range, he's a great player. He's number 6 in my model somehow, and I hate the guy.
He's played great this year. His last three tournaments, I mean,
I
he's
know.
been really good. It's like, where did this come
know.
from?
I know, but no one's talking about him. Talking about freaking Louis.
Oof.
Louis.
This is where you're going to make or break your week in this
Yep.
7K range for sure.
Yep.
There's so many great golfers in here. It's just going to be hoping the guy you pick doesn't have a couple bad holes and mentally give up because they just put themselves 4 or 5 strokes back.
Stop talking about Paul Casey like that. Paul Casey around the green, 107, putting like Jesus.
What about your boy Wolf, Chris?
I'm over him. No, I actually really
You're
like
over him?
Wolf, but I don't like him this week. I mean, there's just so many other
Howard.
plays. If he was ranked like 6,900, I'd be all over him. But at 75, like there's so many plays around him that are, I feel like, a lot better and safer. Because at the end of the day, you got to get 6-6 through. Like you want all the potential you can get, but at the end of the day, you want 6-6 through. And I think Answer and Sergio and these other players are, even Paul Casey, have a better chance of getting through than Wolf. All right,
You just
what about?
contradicted yourself.
Yeah. No. So I always get wrong which Cam I should get, Cam Smith or Cam Champ. So I did a coin flip and I decided to do Cam Smith, and instead Cam Champ was the one I should have picked. He's in the 7K range, but let's get down to the 6K range. Is there any flyers? I mean, there's a zillion people because of the PGA Tour pros, but what's the one guy here that you're targeting?
Bryce, I'll let you go first.
Brendan Steele. Elite ball striker. Historically does well in California, usually in the Cali swing to start the season. I mean, he's just, if he could get his putter to work, he'd be great. But I think a lot of people are going to be on Matthias Schwab just because he is a tee to green monster the last 2 tournaments. He should have won the Barracuda. He's awful putting. But, I mean, look at his tee to green. At the 3M Open, he gained 11 strokes tee to green, lost 7 putting.
It's bad.
Like, and he can hit the shit out of the ball too. I think those two and Doc will be the most popular in the top range here.
I'm going back to the well here with my European buddy, old Burned. Like we said, he's a top top player in the world rankings. Obviously, last week was not a good week. I had him. The dude birdies, but the dude bogeys, man. And that was his problem last week. A couple weeks ago at the 3M, though, he top 20, top 30 finish, I think. In the games there, I mean, he can score. So if you're looking at a guy in the 6,000 range that could, get up there, he's played over here 2 weeks in a row now. So maybe he's got his jet lag behind him. And I just want to point out that Dahmen, my boy that I hate, did y'all see his round there last week? He went like freaking 9 under, whatever it was.
Oh, yeah, then choked on the last couple of holes.
And then choked on the last couple holes. But he's down there in the 6K range if anybody wants to take him, but it won't be me.
And there's some good people that really you look at. And Varner's played well in majors. I think he was in the final group with Brooks last year.
Yeah, he was.
Russell Henley looks good. Graham McDowell, Sepp Straka. There's a lot of guys down here that you could, if you want to mess with having, like a Cantlay Rory, Cantlay Brooks start, you're going to have to touch some of the guys down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Thompson.
What about the new ad Grillo?
I'm team Never Grillo.
Such a hater.
Him and Paul Casey can go to an island together.
Fratelli's a pretty good play. 68 as well. He's been playing good golf.
And then, of course, Zhang just got in the field.
Zhang. They can price all the money.
I'm not going to touch him this week, though. But
Zhang.
If it was more of a birdie fest layout, then yeah, absolutely. But
what about your boy Price, Lucas Glover?
No.
6,700. Okay, never mind. What about another guy similar? I feel like Luke List. He's number 1 in the rankings from par fours, 500 plus, and 46 and 450 to 500. Pretty good stats there.
I would rather play Use Luton than either of them two.
All right, here's one player that I really actually kind of like is Ryan Palmer this week. The model kind of makes me a little wary of it with the long par fours. He's not good. But his driving distance, 14, and playing good golf. What do you think about Palmer down here? And everybody in the 6K range is going to have some issues. We know that. But what do you think about Palmer?
He's been good since the restart. He has 3 missed cuts, but also 8th, 2nd, and 15th.
Yeah.
So, he could score. He makes the cut. He pays off at 6,900.
Last week his putter minus 4.4 putting.
Yeah,
but he was plus 4.9 approach around the green, 2.5. Tee to green, 9.7. He played really well last week. He just couldn't putt.
Good sign, though. I think that's a good sign. You'd rather have that trending, the putting, than anything else, I think, because that seems the easiest to turn around. So I think he's a sneaky play, like Price said. If you're going top heavy, you're going to have to pick some guys here, and I think he's somebody that can get up there and finish in the top 25.
So Price, would you want to do a head-to-head bet, Ryan Palmer versus Doc Redman?
I will do Ryan Palmer versus Matthias Schwab. Or Matthias.
Do I not get a throw in here with Burns?
All right, let's do one. I'll take Ryan Palmer.
I'll take Brendan Steele, and you can have Burned.
All right.
What's the bet? A steak this next week? We all go out to eat a steak somewhere?
I'd rather grill it myself.
All right. Well, what are we going to play for?
All right, we can do it for steak. Whoever wins, y'all have to buy the steak.
We could do, if anybody leaves a comment in the comment section below, whoever is the worst golfer has to PayPal that person and they have to sign up, and they sign up. Well, we pay for their first week. How about that?
Fine with me.
All right, cool. Make a comment in the comment section below. Sign up, and we will. It's gonna be Dustin paying you that first week.
And then if it's a tie because both you guys missed the cut and mine makes it, y'all both have to.
Deal. Yeah. If
Deal.
two people miss the cut and one person doesn't, we'll double it up or something. All right. Any last words before we go to the bets with anything with regards to this tournament?
No, I think balance is going to be super popular build. I have a feeling Chris and I have a very similar build, but I think it's just safer. Every time a major comes up, Chris and I talk about, or I want to do stars and scrubs, and he says, just do balance. It makes more sense. And every freaking time the balance lineup, they all make the cut, they all do well, and that's what makes money.
Yep.
So
it's true, man.
I'm sticking to it this week. I'm playing balance lineup.
It's true. So when you say balance, like how balanced? Like, are you wanting to move all the way down to Cantley as your first player?
He is.
Okay.
My cheapest player is Answer.
Wow, that's a really good balanced lineup. I like it, and this whole year has been like that too, for the most part. Like the WGC is a little different, but
yeah,
it seems like for the most part, like all these top guys have just flopped.
They have.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
like it's not like one's flopped. Like they've all missed the cut, all the same tournament, multiple times.
Well, it's just week to week, right? You look at John Rahm, hardest tournament of the year.
He dominates.
Phenomenal. I mean, the dude all 4 days was freaking awesome. And then you fast forward 1 week, and he's freaking terrible.
Yeah, I want to play him.
Day. You know what I mean? So it's. I mean, that's golf, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, that's why I love JT this week. I love him. Minus the fact his fairways gained 128 is alarming, but he's a complete golfer. But he won last week, and all these top golfers just switch who's going to win every week. So it makes me want to not play him at all. It does. Science.
But we'll get more into our deep dive tomorrow, kind of solidify things and weed out the guys, because I mean, like I said, there's 95 of the top 100 players, so there's a lot of good golfers, and being able to digress and figure out which ones,
for sure,
are going to rise.
For sure. And if somebody's watched this podcast this far through, shoot us a DM, and we'll give you a little something. So if you've been watching this podcast this far in, we appreciate it, and we'll fly you in some goodies. So let's get to the bets, though. Let's get to the
nitros.
bets.
All right.
The nitro in the middle of the fairway.
2 bets I really like. I like Cantley at 25-1 and Woodland at 50-1. I think Woodland at 50-1 has a ton of value, and Cantley even at 25-1 in this field is pretty solid. And then for first round leader, I love me some Doc Redman at 150-1 and Hatton at 55-1. I think Hatton at 55-1 for first round is really, really solid. And then also I'm all over Hatton this week. I have him top 20, top 10, first round leader. I didn't take him outright because he didn't have that good of a number, but I really like him for first round and a top 20. And if you want to go bomb pick, Scotty Scheffler, 100-1. Hey, he's just as good as Morikawa and Holland.
He's been a beast, and Price has been money on him, making us money. So I think that's about going to wrap it up. If you haven't, follow us on the DFS Dads on Twitter. Every week we've been giving away a pick. DFS Dads.
Yeah.
We've been giving away a pick, and the reason why we like that pick, it's been a lower rated guy, so we gave out Ricky. 2 weeks
Richie.
ago.
It's Richie, not Ricky.
Richie, not Ricky
He's a
Fowler. Richie.
Low range guy.
Yeah, I can't remember him. And
Richie
then Price.
Orensky, and then Ches Reavy last week.
Reavy last week. So the last
Yep.
2 weeks, we've been giving out some studs on Twitter. So definitely follow us there on Twitter. And if you have any questions, shoot us a DM. We'll be glad to answer them. And we will we'll see y'all first major of the year. Let's get it.